Okay, so we have Warhead and Cursed Hollow Band. This is definitely going to be Battlefield of Eternity.
I'm laughing because it's just like they're playing they're banning out the two like macro maps that we're like yeah play these huge maps, like play this gigantic battlefield that we can go
play Towers of Doom, guys. Come on.
No, we're gonna go to Braxis Holdout. I bet that's where my money's on right now is that we're gonna be going to Braxis Holdout.
Tomb. I'm excited to go back to Tomb. Tomb's a great map. It just has everything.
Because that was the first map we casted tonight, then we casted all Battlefield. So, I mean, we're kind of... So, we're not taking a tour of the Nexus, but we're taking a tour of some great maps still. Like, these are really, really good objectives that we can see them prioritize here, as well as just the rotations that we see between top and mid, as well as the solo lane matchup is going to be an interesting thing that we get in this best of 3.
Yeah, I feel like Tomb is quickly becoming one of my favorite maps. Just seeing the versatility of draft here, and it offers play space for a lot of heroes that are generally underpicked, just because of the nature of the map, how tight the rotations are and stuff. You can see a Leoric here. Chromie shows up a lot. All the mages get really strong. A lot of people say, it is extremely tilted on wave clear, and we saw in that first draft out of Oh My Science immediately prioritizing wave clear with their Johanna Gul'dan 1-2 pick. So I expect to see that from them again. Whether or not we see that crazy wave clear defense comp coming out of them again, I doubt, just because they never seem to do the same thing twice. That's the best way to keep your opponent guessing. Never do the same thing twice, and then do the same thing twice when it does matter. So, yeah, I'd like to see what we see coming out of them.
No, that's going to be an interesting... The other thing to consider, too, is that we've actually seen, at least, I mean, I'm just kind of making a generalization as we've only casted one game of these guys, but those guys actually had... a little bit, it felt like a little bit similar play style, or at least aggression level that we see from Oh My Science a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see this matchup, because as we've been going through this, we've been ramping up to, more and more difficult team matchups. And we can definitely see that, as we're getting towards the, we're in the finals of the bracket for HeroesHype Amateur Week. Oh my God. HeroesHype Amateur Series Week 85, just as we get towards the end of this, like, we are seeing, a lot of crazy top play.
Yeah, I think it's getting better and better. And as we get towards the end of the bracket, every week, the play just gets tighter and tighter. We see Oh My Science, bringing the fight. And I really hope we can see those guys step to it. So those guys are on the right now.
Yeah, so we're going to be having My Science on the left and those guys, right? So going into Tomb, I mean, actually, literally going
right into
it. Here we go. Yeah, right into it. Some of the things that I honestly kind of hope we see is, as we've kind of said through the motif of the stream tonight, is just I hope there's a Junkrat, but I realistically would like to see a Chromie in one of these rotations.
Yep, I'd like to see a Chromie. I fully expect to see Garrosh ban coming out of Oh My Science. Those guys also banned Garrosh first, so
I was gonna ask you this. So if those guys who are on our right ban out Garrosh, who does Oh My Science ban out? Do they ban out the Tassadar then?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I don't know if we've ever seen them ban the Tassadar. That's the one thing I'm just gonna completely just like play mind games.
I'm trying to think. There's one game, like in the finals last week, there's one game where they didn't ban Garrosh, and I think it was a Malthael ban, but I can't recall. So we'll have to see.
I've got BlizzCon brain
strong on this map. I mean, the area in the middle is close, and he rotates well. Obviously, he works well in a 4-man, but how is he much scarier than Stitches? I really think.
I think it's mostly because the Stitches skill shot is more difficult. And the follow up in the composition is very obvious. in some situations, I actually think I casted one earlier this week, and I was just like, yep, it's going to be this, this, and this. They swapped out a couple things, but it's just one of those things like you see it coming from a mile away, and you're like, all right, well, they pick Stitch's mouth. There's the possibility of a Kael'thas, exactly. So those are two things that we need to consider. Then you just start looking at like, all right, well, how do we get damage on the Kael'thas? How do we get into that backline? How do we deal with the mouth? And so it just becomes, making sure that you're aware of that 16-second cooldown on the hook. And the thing with Garrosh, you can cycle those talents so well that the pull in can be just as devastating as the toss. So we still see the ban onto him. But I agree with you. Like there are some more scary pickups, but at the same time, I think just Garrosh just really kind of muddles up team composition.
I just think there's a slight overvaluation going, and I read a whole long crazy article on the Reddit about Ragnaros, and when Ragnaros first came out, how he was insanely high ban. He had the same sort of insane participation rate that Garrosh does, and he did receive some nerfs, but as that number fell over time, it was like the same ban rate we're seeing on Garrosh, something like 80-90%. And it was postulating that Garrosh really doesn't have the highest win rate, and that it's sort of just this initial fear that people have. They just say like, "Oh, I just don't want to deal with it." But I think it'll go away as we get more. I'm sure Hanzo will be horrible to deal with.
So those guys go into a first pick Sonya, but then they go into a Gul'dan Tassadar. Like that's.
I mean, again, just prioritizing so much wave clear, right? This is what they played last time.
So far, it's. I mean, the picks are a different order, but it's been the same pickup.
Yeah, we had Johanna, Ragnaros, and who was
I want to say it was Rhaegar, but I think it was Stukov. It was Stukov.
Yeah, it was Stukov. But we see the same kind of thing coming out here.
The only thing that I worry about that is that it shows that, getting the Tassadar early is great. Yes, you have it. It's not going to get banned out or picked away. But now they have to consider the fact that they've shown that they've already picked up this other support, so they know that they're going to need a secondary, so they can kind of target that on the side of those guys. Now we're talking a little bit into the ban phase.
Pick and ban. They could pick here and ban, or vice versa. Malf, Diablo. Are we going to see? Are we going to see like a Medivh or something here? So I think you're right. I think so. Now those guys have the ability to ban out Dukov or whoever they feel like is strong here.
It shows a little bit of their draft that they do need that second support. And realistically, I personally think a Stukov is a strong ban. I think he's a phenomenal healer. In a situation like this, in a 4-man rotation, he works very well. The zoning, as I've noted before, is just another, it's just icing on the cake. But that would be my ban if I was on this. I mean, they're hovering Tracer at this point. I can see why.
Yeah, I can see why, but I feel like it's a feign from. I feel like they love that Rag pick, and the Tassadar was picked without what people consider right now normal super synergy, like with a Vala or with this is the same team. They're just going to pick the same team. They're just going to pick the Ragnaros, and they're going to win because they know they can win. Like I said, the first game, it was a team that says like, if you're beating us, I dare you to come over here and try to beat us in our area. And they just crushed with it. Whether they'll go the Rag, maybe they have something else prepared. But what do they have? Is this a Medivh Diablo comp with the Malf and the catches? And then who are you going to have for range damage?
Ooh. Also, I just wanted to, I'm looking at the drafts and I'm just like, this feels like reverse draft. I've done a couple community events and it's just like, I'm looking at the composition. I'm like, this feels backwards. Like, I feel like you'd kind of draft Sonya a little bit later. And, you could draft Diablo Malf. It's just, anyways, but, Medivh here, I don't know. I don't see I see a reason for Medivh now. I was about to say there's no real reason for either team to kind of draft it. I mean, yeah, you can kind of get into the backline Gul'dan, but It's yeah,
Same draft.
it's a Ragnaros again.
They just say, okay, this is our draft here.
But
no
those guys
one.
is what I want.
Yeah, do you have an answer to this? Chromie's good against Rag. I gotta say, I saw it in HEC too. When he goes into the Molten Core, he's gigantic, and all those skill shots give you full quest credit. They do full damage. Diablo Sonya is a solid frontline Diablo by himself. No, but Sonya's pretty tanky. The sustain heals coming out of Malf and Diablo. I like it. I like both compositions. I mean, I gushed about this composition coming out of Oh My Science the first game, so I just think it is solid. But if something was going to work against it, I feel like this draft out of those guys is right there.
I want to agree with you, but it's just I worry into the late game how the dive is going to work out, and because it's if they go in Tassadar, if he does go into the force wall, that's going to be a nuisance, because if you have the Sonya and Diablo diving in, Lucio only has the boostio to get in. Chromie is going to stay in the back lane, and Malf only can just walk in. So it's just one of those things, like, I don't know if there's going to be a potential for the separation, or if it's going to be one of those things that, I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder. I wondered the same thing.
All right. But on the left-hand side, we are going to have Oh My Science with Citru on that Ragnaros. Troy 1010 on that Gul'dan. We'll have Dark Chimera on the Yukov. Battery will be on that Tassadar, and Hacho will be on the Joanna.
And on the right side, we have those guys with Dr. Frost on the Lucio, Blue Demon playing Malfurion, Treebeard on Chromie, Satat playing the female Scary Diablo, and Average Joe on Sonya.
So it looks like they're going to have Chromie putting this trap down. Tassadar will just go ahead and get rid of that right away. They do not want to deal with the potential combo that you could get from Chromie right there. Just looking at some of these level 1 talents, it doesn't look like anything too out of the ordinary.
Chromie and Sonya both have been picked, which is weird.
A little bit of damage going on into Battery there. Able to walk away, but Chromie stacking up a little bit here. Gonna go for those consecutive blasts at 1. That's the one thing I was curious. Do we get Time Walker's Pursuit for the vision overall on the map, or do you go for the consecutive blast?
I mean, this talent can really snowball you, but I just feel like Time Walker's is so reliable. You get the ability damage, you get the regen and the vision. The vision, especially on this map. I mean, you check the turn in, you poke the turn in. It's really, I like it, but there's nothing wrong with the quest stacks. You just have to make sure you get the hits.
That's
the hard part.
I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's just getting the hits. Like that's going to be the hardest part. But definitely, as we see, like getting a couple here and there, making these rotations pretty good. And realistically, these teams are just going to be kind of saving up 450 and kind of playing safe and just rotating around. We're just seeing a little bit of poke damage here and there. Some rotations in the bottom just to throw off the solo laner in bottom. So it's just, Oh My Science is doing a really good job of making sure that they spread themselves around this map and realistically just kind of pull those guys apart. That's what it seems like they're doing. Those guys are seeming to just play a standard rotation and map order, and Oh My Science is trying something different. They actually start to pull away here, going back for the
dodge by Troy. Like I said in the first game, I feel like the composition from Oh My Science is content to just sit back these early levels and just complete the Gul'dan level 1, the Tassadar Psystorm, and the Sulfuras quest on Ragnaros. I gotta say, we're seeing a lot of value coming out of that consecutive shots. Chromie already up at 14. She just missed 1, but she did hit quite a few in a row in this last team fight.
No, she's doing a phenomenal job stacking this up. And I mean, going through them out of 60 at, 14 out of 60 at this point is pretty good, but we do actually have a little bit of a dive here on to Troy. A little bit of damage coming out, but the Diablo is actually the one who is in a bad position. Quite a bit coming out from that Gul'dan. Just to note, he did go into that Fell Flame at level 1. He's at 28 out of his total 50, if I'm not mistaken. 40. 29 out of his 40. So
40.
So that is going to be something that's very useful for the wave clear that comes in when we have a lot of these later half web waivers. But Diablo going ahead and charging it onto Troy. Do they get the follow-up damage kill?
Ooh. Troy with the smart dodge, but that was sort of the point of it. It was he put it there, so even if you turn around, there's nowhere to go. But not a huge loss.
You're in a bad spot either way, but yeah, exactly. It's not a huge loss. It's pretty early. They still actually have 50 gems on the side of Oh My Science, so those guys need to be a little bit aware of that. They just got to 50 themselves, and it looks like they're going to go for the turn-in right away here. Yeah,
that's intelligent. I think that Chromie zones well. Gul'dan's your major poke for interrupting there. Wow, Sonya being super aggressive, and well, actually no, Surya was on the wrong side there, so I'm not sure what happened, but he had no gems. Again, minor setback. Probably allow a little bit of room, a little bit more for those guys to get more of a turn. And these are sort of uncharacteristic mistakes coming out of Oh My Science.
It seems like a little bit, but the other thing that we had kind of noted just in draft and everything, and as we were loading into this is definitely, these teams are at a really, really high skill here. We actually have a lot of damage going out onto Battery. Looks like he will be able to get out. Not a problem? Yes, okay. There's no Chromie Sandblast.
Yeah, she just used it, and he's gone into Dragon's Eye, which is fairly standard at 7. I'm curious to see if we're going to see Slowing Sands or the Rewind, because there's no cleanse for this team. Ooh, Gul'dan taking a ton of damage too. Wow, just a staggered death's really wreaking havoc on Oh My Science right now. They need to gather themselves. Well, they do have the Web Weavers up, though.
That is the good factor for them. It will push out these lanes, but the only thing is that they won't get the insane value. As in game number 1, we were kind of noting and praising the fact that they had gotten 3 forts in the first Web Weaver phase. That was quite early in the matchup. And here we're kind of seeing the exact same. We're not seeing the exact same thing. Those 2 deaths that we already see that bottom's been cleared, or excuse me, mid and bottom are just about cleared out. Top is going to be going next, and realistically, they didn't get a whole lot of value out of this because of those 2 deaths.
Yeah, I cannot imagine that was the outcome that they wanted. You got to be careful when you do the turn. It takes a while for them to fly down the lane. Same thing with Immortal and Battlefield Eternity. You have to make sure when you win the objective that you allow the objective time to get to you, and don't let your opponent force a fight before the objective actually gets some value for you. So it's about a half a level lead now coming for those guys. Chromie doing a lot of work, 25 stacks. The Gul'dan Fell Flame quest is completed, so he'll be having a little bit longer range poke. We have the Sulfuros also coming out of Rag, and we have a coming out of Chromie. Like I said, no cleanse on the side of Oh My Science. Could be really, you're not going to be looking at Tassadar or Johanna there with the Unstoppable or the Phase Shift, but Stukov and Rag and Gul'dan are definitely going to be the targets that Chromie's looking to catch with that Rewind.
That is definitely going to be something that they're going to need to worry about on the side of Oh My Science. But even then, they've got the Tassadar as well, so the shielding will be pretty powerful. Realistically, we're just going to have to see how much value those guys are going to get from this Web Weaver push. They are extremely close to 10, so the follow-up that they can get is going to be pretty big. They actually have a huge combo onto Troy, but he will be able to get right out of there. 10s are achieved on the side of those guys, and realistically, APOC, Twilight Dream, Sound Barrier, we actually have Sonya currently falling in that bottom lane in a rotation, I do believe, but we still have top getting pushed in, and this is the boss lane. This is the important one. So if you get this opened up and you start to really push this, it's huge, but we actually have another engagement.
Chromie feared way out of position.
And they actually get the flailing swipe out. That is going to disengage. There is a huge silence out onto a couple of the members. Treebeard trying to get some of that damage out, but there is a force wall from the Tassadar that's going to be getting that kill. Believe the Ragnaros smash came out, but I don't think it connected onto anyone, at least in an impactful way.
Yeah, I think it just hit somebody with the outside ring, which doesn't stun. Oh, we have a leap coming in from Sonya. And I imagine that's for getting over the force walls. But Chromie was way out of position almost that whole time. She got caught by the Horrify. I could not believe how long she actually managed to get like 3 or 4 shots back off. She's back up, coming back into the fight. Neither team has quite enough to turn in right now. So again, we're sort of on even footing. Chromie ult is up. We're waiting on Twilight Dream, but Twilight Dream, Sulfuras, and Horrify are all sort of going to line up again, and I imagine we won't be seeing a fight in there. Rewind onto the Ragnaros, tries to use a Molten Core, but not quite fast enough. That was a good, the thought was there for getting the Molten Core up, but the cast time just a little bit longer than the rewind.
That was actually one of the things that I was going to talk to you about. One of the points, at least, is just that I was just sitting there and I was like, I wonder if he can Molten Core in time to counteract the time trap. But it wasn't instantaneous, but either way, it was still a decent amount. So we'll see. Maybe
3 seconds. Let's see. What's the cast time on Molten Core? Doesn't say.
It is. Oh, it just channeled. Yeah.
I think it's possible.
I wonder if it's something that's possible. You just have to do it as a snap decision, or maybe just see it coming. Either way, Seer is going to take a little bit of damage from Average Joe. Just going to get pushed in. They did get Web Weavers here, so this is basically back-to-back Web Weavers, if I'm not mistaken.
This is what we were talking about, though. Try to push into this team. Try to push into Stukov, Gul'dan, Johanna, and Ragnaros. Ooh, Ragnaros caught, though. Again, the Temporal Loop.
He was trying for the Molten Core.
He tried for the Molten Core again. Did he Temporal Loop him while he was Molten Coring?
He was channeling. I just, as the camera panned down here, I saw the Temporal Loop, and then I also saw that he was channeling Molten Core. And I think it was just like milliseconds of difference at this point. But they're going to go ahead and pick up this bottom fort, and it looks like this is just a really strong showing from those guys.
It looks like they identified a weakness in this team, which is no cleanse, and Chromie can really take advantage of that. You'd think normally to supplement Chromie's damage to actually get kills with Sonya, you'd need to go Wrath of the Berserker, but it's seeming like if they just get him low 60%, a full combo with the Dragon's Eye, or is that what it's called? Dragon's Eye talent, they're always going to be right in the there, so you're talking about 25% more damage there. We're rounding the corner on the Chromie quest being completed. He's slowed down on this stacking a bit.
Force Wall going to come out from Tassadar. It looks like they are trying to take a little bit of a fight here. Posturing for it realistically, but no one's really going in too deep just yet. Force Wall going to separate the Diablo from the team, but he just kind of walks away. Time trap in the middle of the lane there is kind of noted by the team. But realistically, we just have a lot of posturing at this point while the lanes naturally push themselves out. They actually have a huge Sophia smash into Malfurion, and he gets blown up. The initiation from the Blessed Shield was so strong just to lock it down. Diablo going to go ahead and try and jump into this fight. There's a little bit of body blocking coming out. There will be a Force Wall that blocks him from joining into his team. The blind does go out as well. They try and get the pull in from Joanna. No follow-up damage is found. He taps well, and he goes right... Oh, actually, the Force Wall keeping him from his team there for a second, but Diablo's able to get out just fine.
Look at that level 1 talent value. That's absolutely insane. What I was going to say leading into that, too, was that those guys did not have enough gems for the turn, and Oh My Science did, and so that those guys really maybe should have just played a little more passively, tried to make Oh My Science force the fight on the turn in so it was less advantageous. I mean, that pick on a Malfurion was sick. I mean, it was sort of like, oh, okay, you guys want to run a blow-up combo? We can do it too with Johanna, Gul'dan, and Ragnaros. Watch this, and just exploded mouth. Now we're going to see... We're back on even footing again in this game.
I really like what they're doing, actually, is they've been... It's so insane to me that they've done such a good job. We've seen this team be so dominant. Actually, we're gonna have a little bit of a temporal loop go out. Ragnaros will try and get into that Molten Core. There's a flailing sweep to knock it back. There is the break it down used by the Lucio. Citru taking a little bit of damage. There is a Twilight Dream used on the majority of the members here. Leap does go in onto the Tassadar. He will be dying here. Average Joe a little bit low in this situation. Molten Core gonna come out. Sonya gonna be falling. that will be a 1-for-1 trade during this engagement. There is a root onto Troy here. Looks like he won't be taking too much damage, able just to get healed up by his Stukov. And it looks like at this point, this fight is just going to be getting pushed back. Oh, my Science actually going to go ahead and pop the Apocalypse a little bit too early there. Pull in from Joanna just to continue it. Troy taking some damage, going to get the life funnel. He's so low, 100 health. And it looks like he will be able to back off, but at this point, the entire team needs to do so. And those guys have a little bit of an advance to start pushing into this.
That was really great. I really think my Science had a huge opportunity to take that fight, but the fact that the Temporal Loop interrupted the Molten Core mid-cast, put it on that sort of 10-second pseudo cooldown, and then he was just waiting the whole rest of the fight to cast Molten Core. By the time it came in, he wasn't able to get as much value out of it as he wanted to. So what could have been a huge slam dunk, turning around, actually, there's a fight going on, cooldown, caught in the Temporal Loop, and just instantly blown up. Now those guys trying to disengage, or maybe they're trying to force the issue a bit more. And with Web Weavers coming down, down for 30 seconds, I think that they're going to be trying to force at least some damage onto this top keep.
Definitely with the 16s here, they can press this for a little bit. Now they don't have an insanely large window. They're going to have to kind of back off here a little bit. But realistically, these Web Weavers are going to be pretty strong for them. They should get some quite good value, as well as Tessadar being in that bottom lane.
Tessadar's all the way bottom. They see him on the map. I think that they're going to at least allow the front wall to fall. They don't have Molten Core by my advanced caster calculations of he just used it. Sonya leaping in, getting into and sound barrier coming down, but the flailing swipe just enough for Troy to get back into the base. Now those guys are very deep. Apocalypse coming down, Malfurion using the Icebox. Huge W coming out of Chromie. Battery having to use Z to dimensional shift away, and they end up getting the keep there. And that Chromie Dragon's Breath coming down right at the end of the fight, really solidifying their ability to disengage and not allowing my Science to get that counter initiation. They were looking for that counter initiation. You saw them stepping for it, and the Chromie W coming in to do a ton of damage. Johanna on the front line, she's already popping her Iron Skin, so we got to keep in mind that's down. Batteries, Dimensional Shift is probably coming up momentarily. Let's see, lots of little bit of poking going back and forth. Chromie's quest is completed, by the way, so she does have that sand clone. You'll see a lot more cues coming out of her. We have the level 20s coming up.
I mean, with that, realistically, the one thing I want to note, and I don't think I ever got a point. I don't think I got to point this out, is that the amazing thing that those guys is doing this entire game, they have been controlling this map through mid lane. What they've done is they basically stood here and they've kept pushing in ever so slightly, and it keeps them from turning in. They've got 109 gems on the side. Actually, huge. There's a Temporal Loop onto Battery here. The Horrify does come out, saves him for a second. He actually gets out.
Oh, the lead!
To him, and he gets killed. Tassadar is going to be falling here. Molten Core is used. Huge swing
the push into the Twilight Dream.
Oh my god, the stasis is used to save from the... Oh my god, another swing comes out from Ragnaros. They're going to go ahead and get quite a bit of value here, but Hachiro going to be taking quite a bit of damage. He will be falling here, so the Molten Core did kind of delay this, but unfortunately they end up turning this around. Only Stukov is alive. I would expect them to walk top and try and take this game.
Yep, I believe they're going to walk top and try to finish this game. The leap to confirm the kill, I've seen people talk about in chat saying, well, they didn't think that leap was a good idea with the double support. They wouldn't have enough damage. But using the Temporal Loop with no cleanse to dish out a ton of damage, was killing most people right off the bat. And then if that was enough, just into a loop, into a Poison Spear, and that was enough. It looks like those guys are going to be able to take game one and making it look like all my signs are actually existing on the mortal plane.
That's actually really true. I mean, these guys, I mean...
Those guys.
Those guys. I mean, they did a phenomenal job here. This was an absolutely... It was an insanely good first matchup in this best of 3 here for the finals of HeroesHype Amateur Series Week 85. I mean, that's just I'm excited. I'm already like, can we get game number 2? Like, let's just go. Like, please, let's go. I'm ready for this. Oh my god.
I really feel like I don't know if those guys watched the first game or have scrimmed something along this comp already from Oh My Science, but I just feel like their identification that there was a total lack of cleanse and that the temporal loop could come in, and it felt like the temporal loop leap was at least calculated from the beginning of the draft or within the game. It felt like it was a late development that they were just talking in comms, recognized the weakness of the comp coming out of Oh My Science and said, I think we can do this. I think if we execute on this, which is not a super difficult execution to hit on temporal loop, it's got a little clock, tells you exactly when it's going to run out. And I think they did a great job. I don't know if you're looking at chat. I'm super excited. Game 2, we are going to Towers of Doom, chosen by Oh My Science.
Yeah, that's interesting because I believe, have they picked every map tonight? I can't remember.
They picked Tomb. Let's see.
I can't remember, but either way, I mean, still, we're not going into battle. I was just about to say Battlefield of Eternity, but we're going into Towers of Doom here. So we're getting the lobby just set up really quickly, getting the members put on the right sides, and we will get going into this game number 2 on Towers of Doom. That means that first pick is going to be going over to those guys, or these guys, as apparently I said in chat by accident. But either way, I mean, it's still like that was a phenomenal first game. And I really like this map mostly because of there's no way you can't rush core. You got to play the objective. You've got to play around it. And this is a map where we potentially could see a Cho'Gall. We could see a Junkrat, as we talked about, for the poke. I mean, there are numerous things that we could see here. I mean, Lost Vikings. We could have, Abathur,
Chromie, Genjis.
I mean,
it could be anything. Yeah,
there are just a ridiculous amount of options here.
I did just go and look back. So, Oh My Science never picked Battlefield, although it does seem like their strength. They only first picked Tomb on this series, and the very first one game series they picked Tomb as well. So maybe they don't feel like Battlefield of Eternity is really their strong suit. I would argue they have a pretty great play on that map. I'm excited to see something a little more macro focused as far as map. No just killing the enemy team, walking right to the end. These games can get really crazy. And we're getting a request from the chat. They want to see your mug.
My mug? Oh, my BlizzCon mug.
Oh, you got a BlizzCon mug?
I didn't go.
That from this year? Oh, you won?
I try and get one souvenir from like last year. I got the anniversary box, and I got it because there's that giant Stein in it, and I'm like, yes, it's just a decorative, beautiful Stein. But also, this completely got buried by chat, and I just kind of really now realize it, and actually Argy's pointing it out. Gotta go ahead and make sure that we give a huge and wonderful, loud thank you to Haloran for the 6-month resub. It was missed earlier by me. I saw it, and I saw it too. I saw it, and I was like, don't forget. And then I think we were like mid-game, and I was like, I can't shout this out mid-game. And then it just completely passed me by. But exactly. Haloran, you're not forgotten. Thank you so much for the 6 month
I hear that Haloran guy does for HeroesHype. Other than his 6-month sub, we will accept it gladly.
And he's already instantly throwing the Nazebo in.
He's throwing
boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Ginger Dread. Just give him a warning, people. If you're gonna pick it, just warn the man.
Just give him a warning.
He's trigger worthy. Okay, so we're seeing Oh My Science is on the left still, right? Because obviously there's a Garrosh ban over there. Those guys again, first pick UTC Tassadar ban. I think this is par for the course. I'm liking to see what we're going to see out of My Science now. Different map. I don't think we're going to see Gul'dan Johanna. I don't think, are we going to see a Dahaka, Falstad, Brightwing, something like that? Abathur. Where are they going to go? I think these first 2 picks are going to tell us macro fighting, poking, or maybe just something solid like Rhaegar Murden or Rhaegar Greymane, which they've showed a lot of priority on the Greymane. Brightwing Johanna.
Ooh, that's a good, strong first pick.
I was really wondering if they would pick Johanna that highly again. I like it too. I think it's great.
The Brightwing is the thing that I am super, super excited for. I mean, we've seen it. We saw it in the matchup between those guys and #1 Innovation. I believe they utilized that Brightwing to just, get that split push, as well as the phase shift in was really, really powerful. Wasn't it that game?
Yeah, it was.
There's so many games. It's all melding together tonight. But it's definitely, it's still like Brightwing is becoming, and I think always was. It's just one of those things that, like, as we kind of noted at the start of this stream, was, after BlizzCon, the compositions, the meta, the priority picks really changed, because we see kind of the best play out of the entire year for 6 days total. It completely changes the game. We're actually seeing a little bit different drafts and priority here. But Stukov Sonya, from those guys, I mean, that's just a good start to a composition, realistically.
Yeah, and I feel like these 2 teams are similarly valuing similar heroes. They're ETC and Stukov have been high priorities. It looks like Oh My Sands really does to Johanna. I'm thinking that's a comfort pick for them. Also offers good wave clear. I like the high Brightwing pick. The high Brightwing pick says, like, oh, you want to play dive? Like, try it. Go ahead. Just try it, because we have Brightwing here. It almost acts as a deterrent and messes with your opponent's head. They're saying, well, we were going to go really dive heavy. Even the Sonya into Brightwing is difficult to play. It's not unwinnable, but you have to be really aware of user spin when the polymorph's been used, so it makes you play differently, that's for sure. Zul'jin ban, that's been a consistent second ban out of Oh My Science as well, and we saw those guys play it to a lot of value, so I don't know if that's a targeted ban, but I believe they banned it against another team.
I do not think so. I can't remember. Like, I remember it last game, but I don't think it was in any other.
I thought they did, because we were like, okay, Zul'jin. Morales Vala. I love that. Gosh. So, okay, that explains why they went pretty heavy on the wave clear, right? Morales has negligible wave clear. Vala's good, but they just wanted to make sure that they could stick in this. So, is it going to be right? Well, it's going to be interesting. Is this just going to be Vala by herself?
I think My Science picks up a Dahaka if those guys don't. It's so weird to say that, because I say the team name and I'm like, yeah, those guys. Like, I always feel like I have to say it like twice. I'm like, those guys. They might pick up Dahaka here, but realistically, a priority on globals wouldn't be too bad. ETC can pick up the stage dive, but if you want to kind of go wacky wonky, it works, and there's synergy that has to happen, of course. You could steal away the Dahaka now and take the Falstead, and you've got pretty much top, bottom, and mid, under control. I mean, you've got a lot of bodies, and that's a lot of just hyper carry for a Falstead, but now they're going to go into a Chromie.
Chromie Lucio.
Whoa. Okay.
Stukov Lucio is insane. Was it Oh My Science who played it earlier? The amount of healing that comes out of Zeratul. Oh god. This is Zeratul as a direct counter.
But wait, hold on. But why would you? The only thing that I worry about this is that you've got a lot of reveal. ETC reveal, Stukov reveal, Sonya reveal. Chromie can take Time Walker's Pursuit at 1, and that's got to reveal. And I believe that's every 60 seconds or 45 seconds, or I can't remember.
It's off the short cooldown, yeah.
But then even then, Lucio has the boop. So anytime you're in, if you get caught out by your shimmer, almost anyone on the team can reveal you. It's not like some of those compositions where like you just see them running in circles because they have no ability that can hit someone in an AoE kind of, or, there's a reveal from everybody. And I worry about the Zeratul pick personally.
And there's not a wombo focus. So I think it's safe to say these days when you're picking Zeratul last, you're hinging your team on the success of the Zeratul. And right now, down 1-0 in the series, they're really hinging their success in this series and tournament on the Zeratul play. To me, that almost says, personally, that's scary to me, but maybe that says, like, we have some insane Zeratul play that you're not even ready for. So, we'll show you.
All right. On the left-hand side, we are going to have Oh My Science with Siru on that Zeratul. Dark Chimera will be on the Brightwing. Troy 1010 will be on that Vala. Hacha will be on the Joanna. And Battery will be on that Lieutenant Morales.
And on the right side in red, we have those Satat playing ETC Blue Demon on Stukov, Dr. Frost on Lucio, Treebeard on Chromie, and Average Joe on Sonya. Don't think I don't see your Skinergy, guys. You're trying.
Trying?
Blue Demon and Satat rocking the blue skins, but it looks like Sonya just won't cooperate.
See, they all need mount synergy. That's what I'm talking about. Everybody needs to go get like the happy cloud, the sad cloud, probably realistic. Because it's always fun just to kind of scoot around on that one.
I have the angry cloud personally. I love the little.
I went with the happy cloud because try you gotta bring some positivity into the Heroes of the Storm. But either way, Battery actually in that bottom lane gonna be helping out Troy down here. So you're gonna try and get onto Dr. Is it Dr. Frost? I didn't see it there for a second.
Dr. Frost, yeah, taking a lot of damage. He's gonna take a sip. Blue Demon just saying, I don't care. Go ahead and hit me. And here comes there. A ton of damage. Not quite enough at level 1, though. Zukov knowing his limits. Oh, Troy. Looks like we have a lag disconnect.
At this point, it's typically on teams, so we're going to go ahead and have a battery. We're going to have Battery pause at this point. It will be a DC of a player, so we'll go ahead and just let that sort itself out. They're going to probably just have some router reconnection, fun little time. So either way, I mean, going into Towers of Doom here, we actually just had Lieutenant Morales die to Chromie. But realistically, I'm just trying to look at all this. Lieutenant Morales will be back in time before the altar spawn, so it's not something you need to really worry about. It gives them just a little bit more of an advantage on the side of those guys to get a bit of extra positioning and get ready for this 3 altar phase.
Yeah, it should be okay. I think she'll be up in time to at least contest the bottom one. What I'm really wondering about now is talent choice, because there's no cleanse from Morales anymore. So I think a huge issue for Oh My Science was Temporal Loop. But you can sort of feign Brightwing into going cleanse over the phase shield, which is extremely strong. The phase shield is extremely strong, so you can almost juke Brightwing into going for the cleanse. And I mean, the cleanse is good against ETC as well, but you're gonna lose that phase shield, and then you can just go right into the shifting sands instead.
I'm remembering back to, I think it was like it was one of the other weeks I casted for HeroesHype Amateur Series, and the one thing, it was, I think we were at like level 13, and Brightwing still hadn't picked her level 17. And because like Chromie was holding her 8 and Brightwing was holding her 7, and we were at level 13 in the game, and I was just like, please, somebody pick the talents. Like, it was just so insane. But the other thing too is like the troll that came from it was so good, because the fact that they literally could just sit there and be like, your Brightwing isn't going to get Emerald Wind or Blink until they take their 7, and we'll just hold out on our 10s, because realistically Chromie, first, second, and oh god, I'm trying to do the math in my head really quick. First, second, and 5th levels for her, they're all like that's the core composition. Like that's the core of her kit. Like 10
shifting sands is good, and temporal loop is huge if there's no counterplay. But shifting sands is just like good, right? It's not necessary to be part of it. Yeah. Need to resume it.
It's just the warning time. So we're just getting kind of a maximum time limit here at which the team will have to decide on whether or not they want to do bot, or I don't know what the rules exactly are, but typically it's, you have a time period. Once that goes, you either forfeit that match or you just play with the bot. I can't remember. But either way,
we'll an ETC bot.
We'll figure it out. But either way, thank you so much to everyone who's hanging out in Twitch chat, who's swinging by and just saying hello. We're just two fun little casters who are brought in here from, by HeroesHype, just to give you a little bit of casting on this wonderful Wednesday night for the amateur series. A little bit of esports after BlizzCon. It's not, this isn't, HGC level of play. This isn't Europe versus Korea, but at the same time, it's still always good just to have this fun play, and in the amateur scene is always great to be a part of.
Yeah, it's HGC Light. Come in and get your Kerrigan Tracer combos. Get your Ragnaroses on. Although there was a ton of Ragnaroses over the weekend, I gotta say.
I mean, it's really one of those things. Like I think we kind of talked about it, and you had made this exact point. Like, for example, when Rag came out, he was first pick, first ban almost, and now we just see him. He fell off, and it's the argument that I've made with other people. It's like, yeah, you can pick him, but it's just like sometimes there's just better choices. Like, what do you want him for? Wave clear?
The Spider Queen is great, but I think that's just about it. Maybe Warhead. Warhead, I've seen him use in Warhead where they nuke and you molten core onto the fort and you eat the nuke. But yeah. Battlefield, yeah.
Battlefield, you could technically do it.
In poke, right?
We've seen it. The poke on Infernal Shrines is typically what we've seen. I think it's been done here and there on Towers of Doom because it's the same thing. You can poke decently if you have the double altar phase at the top and you just kind of poke yours. So there's room for him, but it's the whole thing is just like he fell off because there's just heroes that came in and the compositions in the meta just don't really. He doesn't fit into, a dive composition very well. I mean, it's just like one of those things, like he's kind of there and he doesn't have a specific spot and he's just good on certain maps and certain
Yeah, he's like a bruiser, but he wants you to engage into him. He doesn't really want to go out and engage into you, which is sort of what the rest of those sort of aggressive melee bruisers tend to do.
You can see him in a little that control composition area where he's definitely there for the lane clear and he can play a little bit slow because he has that range off the W, or if he can be in the lane for that quick clear, he has the Q. So definitely he's got a lot of versatility in his kit. So, but it's just one of those things. I mean, we're rounding, I think 76 heroes near.
Yeah.
So I think Alex Strauss will be the 76th or 75th. It just gets to the point where like there's so many heroes we need to start considering like just you pick whatever's the strongest, and he's just not. The other thing we need to consider is adding in another ban slot because nice. Yeah,
I think that's going to be happening. 2 bans before everything, and then that mid ban as well. Let's talk a little bit about Alex Strauss because I don't think we get to talk about her too much on stream. Have you seen? I saw one clip yesterday from the PTR. Someone picked the ult where you launch yourself into the air and you shoot.
Yeah, I don't know the name, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
He was in Dragonshire. He was on the bottom shrine, and if you pop it, you can literally drop him all the way up the map, and then he landed on the. And then you can pick where you land, and he landed on. He used it as a global. So
I think I was like fiddling around with her because like whenever it's whenever a new hero comes out in the PTR, I just go into like I'm like all AI. I just want to like mess around for a while, and I just don't want people screaming at me like, "What are you doing? Why are you like just soloing a camp and dying?" It's
I have no qualms about that.
I want to figure out like what I can do. What's my limit with her? Like the other thing too, Lily. Holy crap,
I have not tried it yet. I love Lily anyway. Yeah, I mean,
but she's good. She's even more fun now. Like I
can actually heal, or
she wasn't not like she was always fun, but like now it's just one of those things like she fits into her role a little bit better because I think everyone started playing her more as this like you pick her for the blinds and some sub healing and some damage. And I feel like they literally just were like, you know what? This is how people play her. This is what we're just going to give the Heroes of the community, Heroes of the Storm community. Like we'll just, I realistically, and this is the conversation I have with my friend who's a support main, like we talk about the fact that a lot of the supports are going into this more, they have a lot more damage and value to a team. It's not like, and this is a kind of a poor example, but like Lieutenant Morales, like she kind of is just, you stand in the back and try not to get hit, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Now she's a little bit different. They've given her reasons to kind of be a little bit far forward. Grenade displacement, so much fun, and an absolute like, I've gotten kills with it. Like I've sniped as a Morales. So it's the changes that come in are just absolutely great, and I really like the direction they took Alex Straza.
Yeah, I think the support after she comes in, the support game is so strong with the reworks and stuff like we were talking about before. I want to see it as I'm mainly a tank and bruiser player. I'm hoping that we get the same sort of, the 2018 is the year of the tank, and we get a lot more because we've had some interesting stuff in Diva and Garrosh this year. But
can we please just have an actual StarCraft tank?
Yeah, like a Firebat.
Please.
I agree.
I'm going to throw my notepad at you. Oh my God, no. Firebat needs to be a specialist. I don't care what you call me in Twitch chat or what you call me. Firebat should be a specialist. His entire kit, his base character in StarCraft would totally lend to lane clear, and just, it would be an absolutely cool. But yeah, no, of course, they're going to make him into a tank.
They'll make him a tank. I can't really think of I can't think of who else would be like a true StarCraft tank. Oh God! Unless they made like I would love a Roach hero, or like
talking about giving like StarCraft just more unique heroes. Like
just the unit based heroes.
I guess Zerg would be better. Like because I know like Protoss got a unit. There's murmurs and whispers that the reason that Mule's being taken out of the game is because a SCV will be eventually put into and like, I mean, there's an argument for it, but I realistically hope that it's like instead we're just gonna get Overmind or something. Like, give me that. That'll be way more fun.
Yeah, I would like that. I would like to see more just of the random units turned into fun characters. They have such a long list of characters. It's hard because there's so many good there are so many good lore deep heroes out there that have so much backstory and stuff. I would like to see like an Immortal or Colossus or something. It's looking like we actually, because of the disconnect, it's looking like All My Science is going to actually concede this game.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. Just the chat right now.
I know, it's really funny. We can play against all bots, so you can stream it.
Just don't tell anyone. Oh.
I think that's really unfortunate. So I guess the only way you can really beat science is by sabotaging their computers or their internet. That's really upsetting. I was hoping we were going to have a 3-game series on our hands. But that's all right.
Looks like we're going to be talking. We're going to be having an interview in a second here. Just to note, Katrazeel, Stukov was supposed to be a specialist. I screamed about that to my friends for the longest time. I was just like, no, he's going to be a specialist. He won't be a healer. And they're just like, it's the year of the healer. Like, he's going to be a healer. Everything points in that direction. Just saying,
Firebat, I think he's gonna be like a main tank, just because they call Garrosh a main tank, and a lot of people, he's not really a main tank. So I think they're gonna just make him super tanky. They honestly should just make a tank that you can spec one way and he gets a ton of damage and goes bruiser and is naturally a little bit tanky, and you can spec the other way and he goes ultra tank. But
oh God, I'm drawing a blank. Who is is it? I'm trying to remember who's the StarCraft character that like a lot of people have requested, and then I was just like, just make him into a multi-class here. Like, give us one.
Oh, Phoenix, like, or yeah, Protoss. He's there's a guy Phoenix. Well, it's like the resurrected Phoenix, and he has a couple different forms. So, yeah. I just read one because he has like one form where he's an immortal, form where he's a dragoon.
Yes, yeah. So there was actually that was a like a fan made video, and they were like,
yeah.
And it was, I think it was done for like April Fool's Day actually, and it was like really really well done. And like I started watching, I was like, holy crap, this is believable. But that would be really cool to have Phoenix as an actual, like multi-class hero. But it looks like we are going to be getting one of the members from. Okay, so it looks like we're gonna have Treebeard from those guys, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Yes. All right. So, how you doing, Treebeard? Congratulations on the win.
Yo, what's up? Thanks. Man.
So, just I'll ask you a quick question here. Just overall from that first game, the composition was really really interesting to me, and like the leap was a little bit. I was kind of expecting it, but do you think it caught them off guard a little bit, because there was a lot of engagements that you guys had that just completely just blew them up?
Yeah, I think it caught them off guard a bit. We actually didn't plan on going leap when we picked Sonya, but we're like, oh hey, they don't have cleanse, we have loop. Do we want to leap?
Yeah, I was just saying the same thing in the cast, was that it seemed to me more like you identified the lack of cleanse sort of early in the game or within the game, and wait a minute, this is something we can really take advantage of. And again and again and again and again, it was easy punish. You guys really made them pay for that choice, I think.
Yeah, it worked out well.
Do you have any questions, Fear?
No, I just was wondering, not really the most exciting way to win out the night, but were the rest of your games just as decisive as that game one, or did you have any trouble earlier in the bracket?
A couple of the games we were pretty close, and we were on the verge of losing, but nothing too serious. We played a lot of BOE and a lot of Zul'jin, so it was fun.
Oh yeah, we had a lot of BOE. So you're seeing a lot of Zul'jin. Do you feel like that's emerging? We saw some bans, and was it you guys who played Zul'jin in the first game? Oh no, no, we saw that earlier. So we saw a couple picks and a couple bans earlier in the night. Do you think that's just a result of the rework, or is that a result of the Valor power level coming down? What do you think?
I think it's a result of the rework. Guillotine's a lot more viable now. I've also been playing a lot of Zul'jin in Hero League for the past week, so it makes sense that we'd run it.
And are you liking Chromie just specifically on Tomb and Towers of Doom because those are the best maps for her? Or is that someone who you feel like is also really strong right now?
Chromie was mostly because their comps didn't have anything that can really deal with Chromie, especially game one because they didn't have cleanse. So it was like, they can't really get on top of me, and they don't have cleanse, so it was good. The second game, it was like, all right, Chromie's a decent pick here, and I don't really want to go like Vala against Johanna. And then the Zera at the end and the Brightwing cleanse might have changed things a bit with Chromie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what we were postulating early. So, great. What about Junkrat? Just quick before we end. What about Junkrat? We were just speculating a bunch tonight. We were just wondering if you guys ran him at all tonight, or if that's something you just don't feel practiced enough, or you just don't feel like is good at all. What do you think?
We haven't really played him very much, so we weren't going to run him. I feel like he's not that strong in the current meta because he has a lot of like random poke damage, and most people go double support, so you're just kind of sad about that. His ult's really strong though, and he has potential with his knockback. It's really easy to knock people back into your team, similar to like a Garrosh pull flip type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be cool to see what he does and how people play him, because I think he has potential.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the interview. Before we let you go, any just quick shout outs you want to give?
Shout out to my team for showing up and playing great. Shout out to the casters for casting the game. It's awesome that you guys are doing this, and to everybody that's watching.
Yeah, man. Thanks and congratulations. Great job.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Treebeard, for that interview. That will be starting to wrap up our stream, but don't go anywhere. After this, we will be hosting Mr. Slack and Salt, so just stay tuned because he is a phenomenal streamer and a bunch of fun to watch. But before we go, Fear, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitch and Twitter, both at twitch.tv/recurringfear and twitter.com/recurringfear. I've also heard that you have some endeavors on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, you can find me Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube all at Bahamut Gaming. I think it was actually just popped into the Twitch chat as well, our YouTube or our Twitter links. So definitely you can find all of our information there. But thank you so much for casting with me. This will be the conclusion for HeroesHype Amateur Series Week 85. Thank you so much to HeroesHype. Thank you so much to the teams. Thank you, Fear. And that's going to conclude it for us. Stay tuned for Mr. Slack and Salt and have a great night, everybody.
Yep, great night. Thanks.